Alright, welcome everyone to another very memorable game of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. So folks, I'm just really excited to bring you guys this game, so let's get right into it. So this is of course happening on our very familiar and favorite map here, the China real world map. We've got the teams divided into two ends, so I'll call them Team East and Team West. So one thing that does happen on this map sometimes is the placement of the players isn't always perfect. I would say it's good more than half the time, but every now and then it isn't. So we have the teams being purple here, light blue, blue, and then yellow. So this kind of end here. And then we have red, gray, green, and orange on the same team. So you see purple is actually between part of the West team. But despite that, was really close game, very evenly matched. So let's just get into it. One thing I will mention as a disclaimer, as I always say this, but so this is not a ranked game. This is not a competitive game. This is also definitely not a professional level game here. These are players of very different levels. So you have a couple of players who are experienced and I think around 1100, maybe even 1200 ELO level, but then other players who have no ELO level at all and are beginners. So you can kind of maybe see that right now. But that's also half the fun, which is that you've got teams with very different level players, and just seeing them interact, it's kind of baptism by fire for everyone. So it can be really just kind of hilarious sometimes too. So Team West, we have here the Huns, Chinese, which is appropriate on the China map, Tatars, and Franks. So Team West is very cavalry heavy, whereas Team East is, you have here the Malians, also great cavalry, Berbers, so this is absolutely great for the Genitor unit. And then we have Magar, also cavalry, Civ actually, and then Burgundians, also kind of cavalry heavy. So very cavalry heavy teams on both sides actually. So let me just speed it up here, and we'll get to the action. So you see this map does have some great fish. We have these interesting rivers that come through the map. So we'll see how that maybe plays in or doesn't play in. So one great thing about the Malians is that they have these incredible cavalry units, especially with camels. So we'll see how that comes into play with Franks next door. I already mentioned the Genitors, so it can have a really interesting effect with the speedy skirmishers. So let's just close it in here, slow it down slightly. So we see the first walls coming up here. So we see Team West walling off in the general eastern direction, and same thing with the eastern team. They are walling off towards their western side. Alright, so let's, I guess we'll speed it up again here. So we see green also walling off down here. Just some easy palisades for now. He's actually walling off his entire base. Another way to wall off there is to go wall off from this section here, which kind of is the entrance to this entire southern region and these shallows, but for the time being, green opts to wall off that section. I guess we'll speed it up again. So we have the first player in castle, which is green. He already has 4 town centers, so definitely, I'll just mention here where I'm trying to, so I didn't mention this actually, so I'm playing light blue here in the top right. Usually play that color, and yeah, so just trying to encourage the team here to, game on whatever happens. Make sure no one leaves prematurely. Okay, so we see the first kind of armies starting to come out here. Both yellow and orange are, are building cavalry. So let's just go to, go to orange here for a second. And we'll speed it up again. So our first skirmish of the game. Orange is a little bit outmatched here, but he's got spears on the way, and I think he calls for help as well. So that's interesting. Yellow decides to get out. This is kind of a choke point here. Orange opts to back up, and it's a little bit of like a Leonidas situation here. You know, you've got a small entrance and the larger army, even though they have a good counter to his cavalry, they decide to back off. So probably a smart move from both ends. So I actually didn't quite see that. I didn't see that during the game. It's always fun when you watch the replay. You see things that you didn't know about during the game, and you actually see how things played out. So kind of interesting there. So Orange continues to build up. So we see the first units. I'm sending my first knights here, and I'm trying to support Yellow in his raid. Didn't see that first one, but the first raid, but hoping to help him out on the next one. So Orange just slowly has a pretty decent force here. Bunch of spears as well. So green is dropping a market up here. This is going to help. We're going to see this play in later on. We got a nice trade line across the map. Alright, so you see that as Burgundians, you can get the Cavalier in the Castle Age. So this was a little bit funny here. I didn't really... I actually thought I was late to the battle, so I attack here thinking that Yellow is already attacking. I'm not quite sure why I thought that, but... So I slip in here. But it turned out to be actually pretty good because Orange is now distracted. He's going after these units, which ends up being kind of perfect. It's kind of like a decoy because now Yellow makes a move and is able to slip in through the other way. But this was not coordinated. This was kind of just like a disorganized raid. So I would say this is the first proper engagement of the game. But we see green is on the way with cavalry archers. Perfect build for the Tatars. So my couple of units have died here, although they hopefully slowed down the economy a little bit. So this is really bad actually for Yellow. You got two of their army showing up. You know, just like in real history, it's all about outnumbering your opponent in detail, so to speak. So in the actual engagement, if you outnumber your opponent, then that's the important thing. So Yellow wisely backs up here. And we see this was kind of the first engagement of the game. So we're going to start seeing like a real showdown between Yellow and Orange. Kind of just like an epic fight here. And then gradually we'll also see other players, you know, join the mayhem, so to speak. Blue has dropped a wall. Great placement here. I think he's totally walled off now. Yep, totally walled off, so that's perfect. This is actually a great place to build the wall because it's the shortest point. And I believe Yellow is also partly walled off, although there are ways into his base on the sides. Oh no, he is walled off on a smaller level. Alright, so let's go to just check out green quickly, see what we said. 202 supply. And I think I think most of the players in the game are way behind that. Yeah, 120, way behind. So we see the Team West is definitely in a stronger position right now. But we will see how that all comes together. Alright, so let's speed it up again. Alright, so a little bit of a small raid here. I figure why not see what's happening up here if I can distract the players as much as possible. And just a little bit of an annoyance there. And I believe that this is kind of an interesting moment. So I'm going to put on the Fog of War, and I just barely see this. And it was pretty scary to see. No one had an army this big at this point in the game. So I think you can see me. There it is. So I'm just flagging, like, whoa, team, what was that? So I'm telling us, we need to really rally. I think at this point we barely have any force. Yellow has an army, but blue, not so much. Neither do I. So this army was looking really scary here. And I actually think that if he had found a way to slip in somehow into our bases, this could have done some serious damage. As it is, though, he doesn't, green does not actually opt to attack in. Maybe he thought he wasn't seen. It's not really clear. But he seems to back up. So instead of engaging that, though, in this army, which I knew I couldn't beat, I decided to try to raid the southern teams now. I did a tiny little bit of a raid here, and now I'm going for the southern end. And I was very happy to see that this was not walled off. So usually this is where if one of these entrances are open, then you can get into this entire southern area. Which is kind of funny though here, because I think Gray manages to get this wall, this castle up just in time. So you see orange and yellow really just, facing each other off. So I just got the paladin upgrade just in time for the raid. And just managed to do an initial raid here. Now this is for me just a way to kind of see what's going on. I didn't have much vision, so once I see there's a way in, I think why not capitalize on that. I think we see green coming to give chase. This is pretty efficient here. He doesn't raid purple with his entire army. He just leaves a small force behind to cause some damage. So you see purple is a new player, far behind in the points, which is totally fine. But so this is beginning to be really damaging there for purple. Major engagement here. Yellow and orange, the beginning of their long-lasting showdown. I find a way to slip into green's base here. And Team East has taken the lead now. Purple is calling for help. So yeah, this game is there's just so much happening. I'm probably going to miss a bunch of things just because of how much there is. Orange trying to keep up the defenses. So one thing I did here, and I did this based on my own experience of having it happen to me many times, is I just sent every single paladin to a different part of green's base. I didn't actually have vision of these bases here, but I knew that he's probably spread out down there. It's pretty micro-intensive to do that, but in my experience it pays off because it is just such a hassle to chase down each of these individual paladins. So pretty happy with how that turned out. This is kind of interesting as well. I actually thought that I had beaten a big green army here, so I thought, geez, wow, that's good. Didn't realize that was just a raiding force. That was not green's main army though. Green's main army is now coming to help orange in this major front line here. So yellow, I think, is our strongest player. Okay, no, not quite, but he's definitely the one giving the fight. So now, once I know there's a way in, I decide to just raid much more often. And I am beginning to send many more forces in. So I'm sending another raiding force here. So, once you realize there's a way in, what you have to do is just try to capitalize on it as much as you can. Because it may not be open much longer at the entrance, I mean. So I think they see that, so they're beginning to wall off. So green is really, helping the team a lot here. Helping orange, I think he's beaten yellow's army. He's chasing down these raiding armies. So this was actually a pretty interesting engagement because one thing that I often do is I kind of lose track of my forces. There's just so much happening on the map, it's easy to lose track. But in this case, I do see this and I realize I need to focus fire on these units, which I think I do eventually. There we go. So keeping this raiding army alive here for as long as possible. Meanwhile, Green has now decided, you know, that's he can't have all the raiding fun for yourself, and he was almost there earlier. Takes his large force now and is going to be goes on a huge raid of yellow, which is extremely scary for us. So this is a pretty, fully upgraded Tatar cavalry archers. We don't really have an answer for this right now. This is really scary. So I actually realize I need to send reinforcements to yellow because I think we're about to lose our ally here. Oh, there was a little bit of action, I guess. I built a dock down here, which is one of those things you got to do on this map. Alright, so I send in this raid here. Managed to sneak in. However, Green is realizing what's happening and is sending reinforcements. So we see raids happening at the exact same time. I think these guys are about to attack. Not fully upgraded yet. Alright, so this is probably the best raid I do in the game, is I send all these guys, so this entrance is open, and I send them into Orange's base. Just gonna slow it down briefly here. So we got this raid happening here. Green is, I think, coming down to mop this up. I didn't really see this, so this is actually pretty brutal. Green is also trying to sneak in here. Okay, he's not there yet, but he's gonna hit yellow. Meanwhile, we have a raid happening here in Orange's base. So a lot of just units. Meanwhile, other people are starting to build up as well. So this is pretty nasty. I think my raid just really went down fast. That was pretty, that was kind of a massacre there. But did a little bit of damage and, So, but now, while that happened, another raid is happening here. So Orange is actually beginning to be in a little bit of a rough spot, have been hit pretty hard. Obviously, on a map like this, the players on the front line are always going to be the ones taking a lot of the hits, whereas the pocket players are able to build up more. That's just the nature of the map. So, but I think Orange manages to come out of this not too badly hurt. So here comes Green with his main force. So this is really the perfect counter. You've got camels and cavalry archers against my pure cavalry army here. Speed up a little bit. So this is kind of brutal here. My force is not the best combo against Greens, and so I think I do manage to see this in time and decide to get out of there. So I unceremoniously make a run for it. Meanwhile, Green is still raiding and Yellow has managed to build up and is now chasing Green's army around. Now my plan was to lead Green's army straight into Yellow's camels, but turns out Yellow's camels just in that moment went away. So I'm kind of have to end up fighting Green mostly on my own there. Yeah, so I think they were leaving, so at least there's a castle. So this is really interesting. Let's just check out Yellow quickly. So his army is chasing down Green, but Green manages to slip in, and Yellow's army kind of gets stuck behind his own wall. So pretty unfortunate about that. So Green's army here was mostly destroyed. So that's good. So Blue is beginning to build up, and he's beginning to build a fleet, and we'll see how that plays in a little bit later. Same deal with Red, beginning to build up, and same thing with Gray. They will slowly build up more and more. So it kind of is like a really even fight here at the moment. So Green's raiding party here does get destroyed eventually, but this is, I mean, it was pretty scary. And we realized that this is really the main front line there. So all of my reinforcements are going here. Orange has rebuilt some cavalry and is back in play. So I think green and orange are actually going to go on the offense here, and we see that green is also beginning to pressure purple. So again, purple is our exposed player down here. Has a small forest, but I don't think they're upgraded or anything. And green is beginning to push on both sides, against yellow and against purple. And he's trading across the map. We're doing a little bit of trade, but not much so far. I built the stock though to get that trade route going. Alright, so I managed to drop this castle, and this castle also gets built just in time. So kind of like it's really interesting, the whole game, like really lucky builds. Castles do go up in time. And we see purple here just under increasing pressure. Honestly, kind of, anyway, outmatched a little bit here. Heavy camels against unupgraded camels, fully upgraded versus unupgraded spearmen, pretty much. So, tough spot for purple. So I kind of missed this, but I'm asking my allies a couple times, please build a dock here, please build a dock here. I say it a couple times. Blue doesn't really get it because he's like, well, wait a minute, you've got docks there, why do you need a dock there? Well, it's of course to build the trade line, because I want to trade across the map. So eventually they do build it, which is fantastic, and we too get a trade line across the map. So orange has lost his army, he's still recovering. But as you can see, not in a, came out of those raids, not too badly hurt. So purple has now resigned. So you see his army was taken down. Green did manage to take him out. I had tried to help him earlier on, but with yellow under pressure, really hard. So now it's a 4 versus 3, and I'm asking for gold. I'm asking for wood. Now I didn't quite realize that we were ahead of the stats. But in my experience, once it's 4 versus 3, it's only a matter of time before you know it, it's going to be 4 versus 2, and at that point you've pretty much lost the game. So if you're going to build a wonder, the time to do it is when it's 4 versus 3. So that's why I'm asking my allies for resources, and I decide to drop a wonder. Maybe it was a little bit premature with the stats, I'm seeing that now, but you know what? I decided to go for it. And here we go. So there is a wonder being built. So if that wonder stands for 400 years, then Team East will win. Remaining players are light blue, dark blue, and yellow. Meanwhile, Team West is definitely on the offense now. And we see both orange and mostly green though, just really pushing. But yeah, both orange and green pushing here. And blue is also coming to help now, dropping castles. I've also dropped 2 castles, I think, unless one has already gone down. I think one has already gone down. But we have castles here. We're trying to help. We're setting our reinforcements here. Yellow, blue, light blue, all of our armies are here. And it's all we can manage to really keep this front stable. But blue, playing a little bit of an ace card here, is going to build fleets. Now I hope I haven't missed it. I think I may have missed it. Yeah, I think I may have missed it. Darn. Green had dropped a couple villages here and built some towers and started shooting at my villages. I managed to build these cannon ships, and they took them down. With so much happening on the map, it can be hard to see these types of things, but it's so easy to get distracted, but managing to kind of remember these things, it can be tricky. So really happy that I was able to retain this island, and so we got some gold here, and very slowly now we see our trade line building up. But you see, actually, Team West's trade line has been in action for a while already, and frankly, everything on the map west of here is under the control of Team West. Alright, so we see the wonder has just gone up. There it is. Green doesn't waste time and is already sending battering rams to try to break through. Meanwhile, yellow is holding out, still alive after being raided incessantly. Low on resources, but still kicking. Has a force. But this is tough, like we don't really have the right, I don't have the right build for this. I should be building spears, I guess. And my attention now goes completely to defending this wonder. And red now comes into play and has a decent force of cavalry and is going to be pressuring me on the northern side, which it hasn't happened so far in the game. So yeah, yellow really was just kind of the rock of the team here, just constantly being hit by green and orange. Blue supporting, but you know, yellow was really taking a beating. But blue is now, you know, as I mentioned, playing the ace card, and he is doing something which is just really interesting, building a fleet with cannon ships, and he's just gonna bombard the entire coast and make a real nuisance of himself to Team West, and destroying town centers, the whole deal. And we have another fleet over here which is gonna do the same thing on the other side. So it's kind of a really interesting dynamic. You don't really see that too often, especially on a mostly land map, a couple rivers, but so yellow being raided there. So this is my attention here is really here, and from now on my reinforcements are really focusing here, so I'm no longer really sending help to the south, so it's really just blue and yellow on their own down here. I need to focus on defending the northern front. You can see the wonder is actually really close to the front line, so I have to make sure I see an army attacking in time. Alright, so this is kind of interesting here. Red decides, you know, I'm gonna go exploring a little bit and see if there's another way in. And he finds another way. You know, there's this northern entrance. So yellow, despite being pummeled, sends resources to me to help me out. Much appreciated to yellow. So here we go, red going through these palisade gates like a knife through butter, and he's now in. He's into the base. Doesn't have any siege there, but he's in. Thankfully, I do have a force not too far away, I think. And I beeline back to I even send them directly here to kind of intercept the force. Meanwhile, this battle is continuing non-stop. Orange and green continuing to really put pressure on, but blue becoming more coming more and more into play. Now we have another battle up here. Now I actually think that red might have been able to win this. Not completely sure why he backs off, but I guess he decides that he's seeing it tough maybe with the castle there. Decides to retreat, but that was pretty scary. So we have a real engagement up there. Okay, looking for a better position. Gotta love the definitive edition enhanced graphics. Okay, blue coming up to help. Much appreciated. Didn't actually see this. Do they help? Are they on some kind of defensive mode? No, they do actually attack. That's great. So blue's castle is slowly going down here. Yellow just really besieged, but he still does have he's defended on both flanks. He's got these 4 castles and those ones up here, so he's got enough to hold out, but it is tough. So blue now has 2 fleets here, one here, one on this river and then one on the southern one. So it's just a really interesting dynamic there. It's not something you would expect. Just really putting pressure on. So red retreats, and I decide, you know, that's it. Kind of forgot about this entrance, and I'm gonna build some new walls. Make sure I'm covered on both ends. Alright, so we got the trade line going here. 123 gold, let's compare it with the other one. I think the other one's actually a little bit better. Yeah, 126, so more or less the same. But so Team East is somehow still ahead in the stats. But that will not stay like that forever. Let's just go do a quick scan of what everyone has. So gray beginning to have a really huge army, but you know, I think hadn't played the game in a while, and I guess you know, he puts all his trebuchets on siege here, although there's no enemy in sight. But he definitely realizes this eventually and comes to help out. He actually has a massive force here of Chokanukes. We'll see more of that later on. This is an absolutely powerful army. So the battle just continuing here. Blue has some amazing onagers here. So much of this I just did not see during the game. I'll just speed it up here in a second. Because I was just totally distracted with everything happening here. Could not really think much about the other front lines. Constantly expecting a huge army to show up on my front door and just beeline for the wonder. So I just really need to make sure I'm paying close attention to the minimap, seeing where they might strike through. This kind of was kind of a real scare. So I'm just keep paying attention to that. And beginning to drop some, I will eventually drop a bunch of docks here. And, you know, not because docks are that effective here, but just you know, the longer they're shooting at anything except the wonder, it's good. Because the time is ticking. We need to basically hold out as long as we can. So again, making a nuisance of himself. And here we go, that's what I was mentioning. Gray's army is beginning to move up. Here we go, the trebuchets. So this is really just totally game changer there, that army. So I keep flagging here thinking this is the main deal, and I think it is just because we need to defend the wonder, but the reality is that there's also a really close battle happening down here. Yellow and blue doing a great job of holding out. Alright, so I built a couple of demolition ships. These are not the most advanced, but the idea is just to cause whatever damage I can. Okay. Some more raids happening. Alright, so red joins the fun and charges in. This was really just one of those choke points. There's a nice thing about this map, which is there's a little bit of elevation here and there, and so I do have the elevation here, which is really great defensive position. And so I try my best to make use of that. Not sure why that. Okay, he goes behind the wall. That's good. And now we see a little bit of a battle happening down here as well. Actually, a whole pretty interesting one here. So the fleet here that was raiding Team West is destroyed by Gray, freeing up Gray's army to go on the attack. So this blue's fleet here just did a great job of distracting the other side, and I do think that they all get destroyed now. Oh, that's too bad. Look at that. Paladins destroying trebuchets. Yikes, 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 yikes. No, I did not see that. Yeah, my attention is just calling for help. That's basically all I do for the rest of the game. So it was hard to know how much of an army was here. I didn't know if there was a... how big it was. Alright, so let's just speed it up a little bit. Go to green here. So green is beginning to really focus everything on the top front here. Orange, meanwhile, continuing to put pressure on blue and yellow. Now has fully upgraded Frankish paladins. Has a lot of resources from that trade line. So this is beginning to look really scary here. This is kind of funny. You got these battering rams hitting docks across the river. That's one epic battering ram. Alright, so I don't know exactly how this battle turns out there, but so Gray continues to have a huge army just kind of in reserve. I think it's now coming in to attack. You know, so as long as this front line is stable, I'm happy. I just need to keep this as long as possible. Blue coming to help, and here come the demolition ships. So this is what you might call a cluster F. It's just totally all these units all over the place. It's hard to know exactly who's attacking what, but basically I'm trying to keep my range behind the gate. Green and red are trying to break through. They've got siege, but so do we actually. So many got that fishing boat. It's just clustering the river. Orange pushing forward more and more. So this is really interesting. I wonder, do they take them out? Yeah, they do a lot of damage to those battering rams. That's amazing. That's interesting. I didn't actually see that quite happen like that. So those battering rams, I mean, the castle goes down regardless because of this, but this one does as well through the cannons. So both sides losing castles. There's enough siege on both ends. So these docks, just a cluster F, of course, but if they send in help and they distract the enemy, that's good enough for me. So red really building up some more units. Everybody's beginning to really focus on the task. We got 150 years left. All right, so here we see a real breakthrough. The castles on the west side here have been destroyed. Yellow is still holding out on the southern end, still has like a cluster of kind of a fortress down here. But gray and orange are breaking through. Although with 150 years left on the Wonder, maybe not exactly where they should be heading, but it can be hard to know. So doing a lot of damage there. I managed to kind of win this temporarily, so I decided to just send out my guys and see if I can take out some of these siege production buildings. Green and gray not far behind. I like to use that feature there just to kind of see what's happening. Not sure, maybe they were breaking through there. So I did not see this during the game, but blue did the same thing, built demolition ships, does a little bit of damage, gets a couple of them, I guess. Scares them off. Even just scaring them off temporarily, they already did their job, because that's using up time, and you can use that time to rally your troops, catch a breath, and get ready for the next wave. So great move by blue there. Although these Chokanukes are really just massacring everything. So this is really interesting. Gray decides to hit now blue from the front. So blue is now being besieged from the southern end of his base and the center. Pretty effective, but with 115 years left, I would have suggested, but it's easy to say in hindsight, but I really think this army should have come up here and tried to, I don't know, maybe break through here, or actually where he's attacking is perfect, but maybe break through there, focus fire on that. So I keep telling my team, all that matters is holding the line, defending the Wonder. Easy to say. I didn't quite realize, even knowing what's happening here, I still think that's true. Because we're obviously behind that. We're behind in the stats. Team West has clearly taken the lead. It's what normally happens in a 4 versus 3. So it remains true to defending the Wonder is the most, you want to win the game, that's kind of how you have to do it. But I maxed out, so I decided to send help south anyway. I seem to be doing okay here. I've got this kind of force of Marines, of hand cannons. They're kind of like my I don't know what you call that, kind of like a strike group to help wherever is needed, whether on the top or the south. So red breaks through again here, although I have built a wall. I think this is walled off. It could not be, but... And once I see that, the same units that were going down to help kind of start, I send the cavalry back home. Green is now raiding blue, and blue is beginning to get overrun. So gray has broken through. They've broken through here as well, more or less, and they're raiding back here. So blue is under tremendous pressure. I managed to scare off this force here. Although you see they're really putting pressure here. This isn't that far. Green still fighting here, and Gray, you know, has a force. I don't see the trebuchets yet, but there it is. So now he begins to break through here as well. So the game is really entering its final phase here. We got 70 years left. Blue is going down. Let's just check out what kind of army he has left. Still building a lot of units though, still in full swing. Fighting as much as he can, but he's got enemy troops all over his base. So this is kind of interesting. Yellow is still alive down here. I kind of like that. He never was completely destroyed. Below 100 supply, but still in action and trying to still distract the enemy. Meanwhile, blue is basically getting overwhelmed. You got enemy armies really now sweeping through, and they're all slowly moving north to destroy the Wonder. I decided to send this force down just because I figure they're eventually going to be breaking through here, so I might as well engage them now. They're at the gate, so to speak. I think I win this engagement. I don't quite remember how this... Okay, so pretty good defense, but just gotta hand it to these Chokanukes. Just absolutely scary. More on the way, and what is this? 11 trebuchets, another 40 Chokanukes. Not quite maxed out. He could be, I guess, but anyway, really scary army here. So with 40 years left, the question is, can he send these guys straight through here and destroy that Wonder? That's what he has to do. Green has broken through, also has siege. He has a hole in the wall now. I still have enough army there though to defend that. I'm no longer maxed out. Do have the high ground here though, and managed to fend that off. Unfortunate trade cart got sent the wrong direction. So yeah, orange and gray and green just ravaging blue's base. But my walls are still up here, so okay, here we go. So orange is now definitely trying to break through and beeline for the Wonder. You got 25 years left, more or less. Just gonna slow down this part here. So just to say that I still have one little card in my pocket, which is that I have Flemish Revolution. So once I do that, 65 villagers, which is actually really low now. I used to have over 200 villagers. Somehow they've got grinded down. I didn't replace them fast enough, maybe. But I could turn all those into Flemish spearmen. I forget the name right now, actually. And so I still have that one last card to play. Decide to engage this. I see this as being the biggest threat. Green knows what to do. He knows where to go. Red is slowed down here, is not breaking through. He doesn't have siege there. Siege, I think, was down here. So here we go. Gray, red, green, orange. All of them are knocking at the door here. So I do have a couple of walls here. So this slows down gray. Orange, though, is about to break through up there. So you see every single entrance into the base is actually under pressure now. The question is, can they somehow beeline to the Wonder and take it down? Now with 10 years left, you know, it's looking increasingly unlikely, and I'm sure you can guess what happens. It is tough to get to the Wonder in time. So we were wondering after the game, you know, how much more time would they have needed? So I don't know if Gray is distracted this year. How much more time would they have needed if they had really just focused all their units and just beeline for it? You know, it's hard to say. They said kind of more like 50 years. Yeah, it's possible. I don't know. I'd like to think I could have held out a bit longer than that, just because I still am. I feel like I'm still close to being maxed out here. So orange has broken through. I see this. I actually saw this happen. So I send my reinforcements. I managed to get this wall back up. So I send my reinforcements here to engage this. But I'll just pause it quickly. There's a whole... I did not see this actually. I would have probably seen it eventually, but They have broken through here as well, and green is coming as well. So you see both orange and green are just beelining here for this wonder. This is now where all my reinforcements are going. My reinforcements are, where's the rally point? I have it there. So really just fully aware that this is really the end, the showdown at the end here. So the question is, if Gray had sent all of his units here and his trebuchets and just moved in here, how long could they have taken? How quickly could they have taken it down? Even with Flemish Revolution, how long could I have held out? Yeah, it's hard to say. I kind of wish there was a feature in the game, maybe one you could select at the beginning when you're still in the lobby, which is called like extra time, where you can kind of decide just to keep playing after a wonder, just to see how long actually you can go beyond the wonder, which would be kind of interesting. But anyway, so how does it end? 0 years. So that's how the game ends. So Team East does manage to hold out. Team West has swarmed through. They have managed to make it through. They would have won without the wonder for sure. Yeah, how much more time they would have needed, and it's not completely clear. The game was just absolutely crazy. You see these Malian camels. They've got +7. So that's really they've got the Malian advantage there. The Genitours just really were amazing for Team East. Just gotta love these Cristelier units. I was happy to have them fully upgraded down to Paladins and just kind of Strike Force that was alive until the end. Yellow, just the way he held out down here with 3 more castles and a little bit of a fortress. Blue as well, still has units down there, villagers, so he's not dead either, although his base has been hit really hard and he's pretty much destroyed there. I just loved this trade line. It was the first time I had done a trade line on this map like this, so I do manage to do that. Yellow joining in on the fun there. Team West they're also trading. So this is really interesting. They're trading over these shallows. It's kind of it's good to remember that Team West always needs to do that. So Blue, if he had sent his fleet here, he could have maybe cut off some of these trade routes. I guess they would have had to sail past this castle, so a lot of the ships would have been lost there. But so this would have been hard to raid with that castle there. But this trade line could have been raided maybe. So good to remember maybe. Yeah, Team West. So Orange was raided so many times, but came back in full force. You see they've got a lot of resources, so they definitely came back from being hit earlier on. Same thing with Green. Gray, this force is just absolutely crazy. So just a really just great game all around. Just really happy with how it all worked out. A lot of different engagements here and there. I think I managed to get 2 relics there, so that was great. Yeah, so a bitter fight until the end. The great thing about Flemish Revolution is that it does not turn your fishing boats into military units. So even with Flemish Revolution, I would have been able to continue to get food and then gold from trade. So I would have had gold units for a little while. So interesting dynamic there. So it doesn't completely disable your economy. That's what I'm trying to say. I used to think it just wrecks your economy. It's really hard to recover from it. But basically, all you have to do is get wood after that, and you're pretty much you'll be fine for a while anyway, and you can recover from that. So just a great showdown at the very end here. Just really hilarious game all around. So let's go check out the stats quickly. So Green, unsurprisingly, most units killed. Those cavalry archers were just really strong. Was kind of happy with how I managed to. I didn't realize I didn't even use Flemish Revolution and had largest army. I think it's also from the help from Yellow, who sent me some resources, so I was able to keep pumping units until the end. But you see just really great stats there, I think, from everyone. Economy, just look at this trade line here. 58,000 gold. So I didn't realize this. I thought the trade was pretty even because I thought I had a good trade line, but actually Green has, I think, more trade than my entire team combined. And even, Orange and some of the other players had really great trade lines. Our team a little bit less, but it was great that we had any at all. Somehow I always end up with the most stone collected, kind of funny. So this is really just brutal to see, painful, but somehow at some point in the game I had 257 villagers. That's just crazy. But green and orange also had over 200 villagers, so it's what you got to do when you're booming, just especially when the maximum population is 300, as it was in this game. So you have to just boom when you can. Kind of funny, blue had the most relic gold, but actually had no relics at the end of the game. So just, yeah, pretty neat how that ended. Somehow I had the most castles. Don't usually manage that, but somehow that happened here. Obviously with that hill advantage was great. All right, so you can see just a crazy game. Look at all these ups and downs. So just an incredible back and forth in the game. Really even game. So big thanks to everyone who was part of that. It was really, just happy with how that all turned out. So big thanks to both the players and then to all of you. Hope you enjoyed it. And catch you on the next one. Cheers.